Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going over a lot of different news, new stuff that's going on with the Mega Evolutions era, and then I'm also going to go over some stuff I would recommend buying in terms of sealed and just holding on for the next few months, few years, because I think there's a lot of good things at decent price points. There's a few things that are bad price points, but hey, what can you do? Anyway, let's go over this leak that I think a lot of people have been talking about. I'm not super convinced that this is entirely real. Now, we already know that Phantasmal Flames is coming out. Dreams, I think the Dream set has also been confirmed as a special set. We have gotten the Storm Emeralda or Emeralda Storm or whatever. And then we've also gotten, what is it, Abyss Eye in like a trademark. Now that's all from Pokebeach. This one looks a little different. This is saying that we're going to get something called Shadow Storm, Emerald Surge, and then a Radiant Ruby and Shining Sapphire special set, which could be like Black Bolt and White Flare, but for a Gen 3 version. Now, I actually expressed something, like I really wanted this kind of set to exist, but I wasn't really super convinced it was going to happen, and I'm not really super convinced that this set is like, or this leak is 100% real. This is just like a Discord message. I have no idea the verifiability of this, and if you come from the Pokemon video game space, you already know that leaks like this are super easy to just make up. I have no idea where this even came from, so yeah, I'm not gonna speculate on too much. I wouldn't take too much credence on this. In fact, Pokebeach seems to be reporting that Storm Emeralda is actually gonna be featuring Mega Zygarde EX, which makes sense, right? Like, Zygarde is the big legendary that's going to be featured in Legend ZA, the new game that's coming out. So if it actually referred to Zygarde instead of Rayquaza, I actually think that would make more sense. As you know, as much as I love Rayquaza, Mega Zygarde getting the spotlight because of the new game makes a lot of sense, right? I don't think anyone can deny that. I'm kind of curious to see if they still kind of bring in Mega Rayquaza, because it has Storm in the title, right? So maybe Mega Zygarde and Rayquaza will show up. Who knows? But as we've seen from Pokebeach, the only confirmed stuff we have is the Mega Dream EX, which we know is going to feature Mega Dragonite, and I think they said Mega Gallade. They've also mentioned, the Mega Gallade EX special set is coming on January 23rd. Okay, perhaps that's different. Then they're also going to have Ninja Spinner, which we know is going to be Mega Greninja, and Abyss Eye, which in my head, I assume this is where Mega Gengar is going to come in. We'll see, though. I have no idea. Don't know why they named the new set Phantasmal Flames if there's no Phantasmal Pokemon. Like, I thought we were going to get Gengar in that set, but I guess it's just the Charizard. In any case, though, Mega Evolutions is still kind of seeming like a really, really popular set. One of the best sets we've gotten, probably the best base set we've ever gotten in a very, very long time. As you can see, the Hyper Rares are an extremely hard pull rate, 1 in 12,000 packs. This is 7 times rarer than the rarest gold cards in the Scarlet and Violet era. It takes 35 booster boxes just to find one Hyper Rare, or about 6 cases. This is by far the scarcest rarity to release in recent memory. Now, what does this tell you, the consumer? Well, personally, this tells me that they're probably going to print the shit out of this set. Excuse my language. We will see, though. No idea even if they print a ton, if the price will even come down on sealed products at all, because it does feel like people are kind of going through the sealed product at an insane rate. People are just ripping it through. But yeah, Mega Evolutions is performing really, really well. The booster box, weirdly enough, was actually kind of cheaper before release. In fact, buying pre-orders at like $230 to $280 was not a bad buy, because now it's around over $300. And logically, this does make sense because the cards you can pull could be worth way more. I mean, the chases for the gold cards are like, they're upwards of $500, plus the insane pull rates, are just going to fuel people to try and rip even more and more. As much as people want to deny it, this space is filled with gamblers. Okay, opening Pokemon booster packs is a gambling, hobby. No matter how much you want to sugarcoat it, you are genuinely gambling if you just rip packs, right? Buying singles is always going to be the cheaper alternative, especially now when sealed product is just insanely expensive. I got 3 boxes. I got one from Pokemon Center for MSRP, and then I got two for like 250. And I think I'm kind of good with what I have. I'm a little wary with this new Mega Evolution block. I know everyone is super. They're super like, oh, this whole Mega Evolution block is gonna be amazing. Every single set's gonna come out is gonna be over MSRP, and nothing's gonna slow it down until the 10th gen or until the 30th anniversary set or something like that. I'm a little more hesitant. I kind of want to see what 2026 has to offer because in my head, Pokemon has probably been building or buying new printing facilities for at least the last few months or the past year, and I know it takes a lot to set up that, but clearly this kind of sustained demand is a new floor. I think Pokemon realizes that and they realize they need to get even more product than they have been getting out right now, so I'm guessing they've invested more into just producing more because they're leaving a lot of profits on the table by allowing the market to get out of control like it is right now. So I'm kind of anticipating we see some really big reprint waves of things in the Mega Evolution era. Now, do I know for a fact that's going to happen? No, it's just my intuition. I can't see this really being sustainable for another year. And when I say this, I don't mean the overall demand in the market. I just mean booster boxes that are being released immediately being above like 2 times MSRP. It's a little crazy to me. I think either Pokemon's gonna, increase MSRP at some point, or they're gonna increase supply. We'll see. If you're wondering about my current investment strategy for the Mega Evolution boxes, I'm probably gonna wait for the second wave of reprints to think about buying a case or more boxes. But honestly, I'm good with the 3 boxes I have. I have a huge position in a lot of other Scarlet and Violet sets, and in fact, I'm trying to buy up Sword and Shield boxes right now. That's kind of where my mind is at, because I can see with the new era, I can see Sword and Shield actually being pushed up even further as people kind of move money back into older sets and older eras. We'll see though. Very, very exciting times. Again, if you have a ton of older stuff, I would recommend kind of liquidating some of it if you can, because this bull market, it's not going to last forever. But yeah, Mega Evolution is doing absolutely amazing. Now let's get into some picks of things that I would buy right now. A lot of this is going to be Scarlet and Violet era, because as we move into Mega Evolution, my guess is that we're going to start seeing less and less reprints of the Scarlet and Violet era, and I do think Pokemon is going to try and focus on Mega more and more. First pick is going to be the Twilight Masquerade ETB. These got a huge reprint. It absolutely needed it. I mean, this was reaching $100 for arguably not an amazing ETB. But now that it's around $70, you can probably find this locally for $60. In fact, I've seen some card shops near me have it for $65. So you can probably find it for a pretty decent price. In fact, this kind of price you could only get in like February. I don't think this kind of, price decrease is going to continue for too much longer. I would be buying up these ETBs if you can, especially if you have no position in Twilight Masquerade. It's a really solid set. That Greninja is an amazing chase card. You have the Eevee illustration rare. You have the Carmine. You have a lot of other cool stuff. I would definitely recommend picking this ETB up, especially since it's got a huge reprint. And the booster boxes are upwards of $300. There's a huge price discrepancy between the ETB and the booster box, and I think the ETB is going to catch up. Next, we have White Flare ETBs. Now, I think White Flare and Black Bolt are kind of just being overlooked right now, which is understandable because these sets aren't going to appeal to a lot of people. Gen 5 is a very popular generation for people that play the games and people that were in the hobby back then, but for most people, they really only care about Gen 1. They really only care about nostalgia. And I still think Black Bolt and White Flare have retained a good amount of set value. I think the top chases being the monochromatic rares is still really solid. There's a lot of good illustration rares in there, and there are some popular Pokemon that appear. We were talking the Gen 5 starters, they're pretty popular. Zekrom and Reshiram. Keldeo kind of up there. I'm a big Chandelure guy, one of my favorite Pokemon. You have the Shinji Kanda Seismitoad, which isn't my personal favorite Shinji Kanda art, but obviously it still looks good. I mean, there's Volcarona, there's Zoroark and Zorua. Like, Black and White does have some popular Pokemon. The SIRs look pretty decent. So I would be probably just not putting a ton of money down into these, but I would probably be buying an ETB of either of these. And of course, you know me, I would actually recommend if you're going to buy an ETB, just buy the Pokemon Center ETB. This is the most exclusive product you can get for a specialty set, and if we're looking at the way that Pokemon Center ETBs have been performing for past specialty sets, then I just don't see a reason why not to. I recently just picked up another set of these. I think they display really well. I mean, they look very nice too. Really excited to have more of these in my collection. And yeah, I think they're a pretty solid pickup right now. Not the best, not the worst though. Next, we have Paldea Evolved ETBs. As the Paldea Evolved, the booster box gets higher and higher in price. It becomes a little less useful as an investment because you're kind of you're losing out on a lot of potential gains that have already been realized. And not to say that that's not going to happen with the ETB. Like obviously, there's a lot of gains that have been happening with the ETB, right? But I think there's still a lot of room for this to grow. Plus, the ETB promo inside here is not the easiest to grade, and Paldea Evolved is just a pretty solid set. Plus, this is a very displayable ETB, right? You have the 3 starters from Gen 9. I think this is one of the strongest generations we've gotten for starters. Sprigatito is a very popular Pokemon. Fuecoco is a very popular Pokemon. I don't really like Quaxly, but you know, I chose Sprigatito. I'm a Sprigatito guy. Really love this ETB. Very, very fun. The promo inside is really good. And I think this applies especially more to the Obsidian Flames ETB. I think if you're going to get any ETB on the list that I've given, this might be one of them. This is a super, super solid pickup. If you don't know, this is actually a relatively hard card to grade. As you can see, 9,000 in a 10, so around 10,000 copies in a 10 out of 30,000 graded. That is basically a 33% gem rate, which is pretty difficult to grade in a 10. That makes, you know, this is an interesting grading play, right? If you open the box, you grade the promo and it gets a 10, I mean, you basically have made double the ETB price and you still get 9 packs of Obsidian Flames, which is only getting more expensive because that Charizard is getting more expensive. Obsidian Flames in general is becoming a more popular set to open. And I think everyone loves this Charmander card. It's a really cute card. I've been talking about this so much, guys. I do generally think this is a great investment. Part of me is wanting to buy a whole case of these, but at the same time, I do think there's better things you could put your money in comparison to that. But I've definitely been picking this up locally. Like if I see them for $100 to $120 locally on Facebook Marketplace, I buy them. You know, it's a great deal. I still think even at 140, 150 is not a bad price. The ETB promo, like by itself, I think just raw is like $20 to $30. So it's a really, really solid pickup right now. And obviously, as time goes on, it's only going to be better and better for this product. Another great ETB investment definitely has to be Prismatic Evolutions. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer, though. I feel like if you are in the investing space in general, you already have a decent position, hopefully. You probably grabbed it around the $100 mark if you could. I still think $130, not a bad deal at this point. We really have no idea of how many more waves of this we're going to get. You could potentially wait for another holiday wave. I could see Pokemon, doing more Sam's Club drops, more Costco drops of these Prismatic. Like clearly, this is the one they wanted to focus on. They made a ton of hubbub around them really getting to reprinting this. So I can understand if you still want to wait. However, it looks like subsequent reprints aren't even going to matter anyway because this price point will not go down regardless of how much Pokemon prints it. So at this point, I would just grab it if you have none. Personally, I think I have like 20 plus ETBs at this point. I'm pretty solid in my position. I've been grabbing as much as I can. I only got like five or something at MSRP. The rest of them I bought at market price, just kind of dollar cost averaging. I got one at like 140 at the peak. I got like some at 130, some at 100. I think really if you just buy within the $50 to $100 to $150 range, you'll be fine in the long term. Now again, this is kind of given that you hold for a good amount of time. I think God packs are a pretty obvious, play. Everyone kind of realizes that they're going to be really big in the future. I know a lot of people hate this set because it does suck to open, but unfortunately, people are degenerate gamblers in the hobby, as I've said before, time and time again. If you can get a God pack, they're going to rip this. So I definitely think this is a good investment. And obviously, with specialty sets, we got to talk about the Pokemon Center ETB. Now, Pokemon Center still has that kind of message saying that there's going to be more available later this year. Don't know if that's true or not. I think that message was up for 151 PC ETBs, and then they took it down, and we didn't get any more restocks of that. So I don't know if they're just kind of like, it's accidentally up there, or they're actually planning on dropping more. I have no idea how true this message is, if more inventory actually will become available later this year. You could hold on for another price dip. Obviously, if they decide to restock, this is probably going to dip again down to like the 300s, maybe even the 200s as we saw before. Personally, I picked a lot up at these dips because in my past, seeing where 151 piece ETBs went, and I was like a little scared to buy them at 200. I now realize that I should have bought way more 151 piece ETBs when I had the chance at 200. And I'm not going to make the same mistake for Prismatic. So, guys, I would recommend, even at 400, I don't think it's a bad buy right now. Obviously, it was a much better buyback at 200. If you don't have any and you're feeling a little icky about buying at 400, perhaps buy one now and then you could wait for a reprint to hit, or you could just take the gamble and hope that this message is not gaslighting us. But who really knows? We can't fully trust this, I would say. So take that as you will. But I think you need to have at least one of these. This is probably going to be the second best performing product in all of Scarlet and Violet era, only behind the 151 PCETB. Would definitely recommend this. You guys know how bullish I am on PCETBs. Sealed products operate with scarcity just like singles do. The more scarce a product is, the harder it is to get, the more demand there's going to be. PCETBs are way less reprinted than the regular ETB. Even though this is the most reprinted PCETB in the history of PCETBs, it's still going to command a premium because it is prismatic. So definitely recommend buying this as well. Next, we have Surging Sparks booster boxes. Now, these have seen a huge, kind of growth recently, but I think for $300, I mean, this is $50 less than Mega Evolution right now. And I think Mega Evolution is a better set than Surging Sparks, but time is now on the side of Surging Sparks. It has been out for around a year now. It is what kind of was a big catalyst for the current bull run we're in. Personally, as I've said before, I do think it was actually Pocket that contributed more, but a lot of people see Surging Sparks as the spark that lit this whole thing on fire. Obviously, you have the Pikachu SAR, which I think is okay, but the Latios, the Latios pair that goes with it, the Milotic, Feedbacks combo. There's a really solid list of Pokemon that you can even pick up from this. The Ceruledge illustration rare I think is really solid in my opinion. Ceruledge seems to be one of the best Gen 9 Pokemon that they announced. Very, very popular. Even the Ceruledge SIR from Prismatic is pretty expensive. People like the new Pokemon in that sense, which is kind of rare to see. So obviously in 5 to 10 years down the line, I think people are going to like Ceruledge. And obviously people are going to like Milotic and Latios and Latios. So Surging Sparks I think is a really solid pickup right now. I just bought another box at, I think it was at 250, but that was like a week or two ago. Looks like they're reaching up to 300 now. That's why it's not in my top 3, but I still think this is a very solid box. If you have none, consider picking one up. But don't worry, there are some even better picks that I would be considering, and that would be a Crown Zenith ETB. Now, this is reaching a consolidation period because that had an insane run up. 300% over a year. God, Pokemon investing is insane. Now, I know we've been in some of the craziest markets right now, but part of me wants to believe that a lot of this is just because Crown Zenith is one of the most sought after sets. It's one of the most open sets. It's one of the most coveted sets. And I think it's going to continue to be that way. I mean, this set is legendary, right? I mean that in every sense of the word, right? The Galar Guards, they're so solid. The Mewtwo, V-Star, you have Leafeon and Glaceon. I mean, you have a Darkrai that I love. You just have so many cards that knock it out of the park, and it feels like every time you open, a few packs, you get something good. Plus, you get an amazing Lucario promo within the ETB. You get 10 packs. ETBs, again, are the most, prized thing you can get for a specialty set. So I think this is a really solid pickup, even at $200, especially at $200. I don't see a world where Crown Zenith does not continue to perform absolutely insane. I'm still picking this one up. I only have 7, I think. And it's tough because I used to have like 10, but I got a lot of them from vending machines. I ripped so much crap, guys. I have so many of those Lucario promos. I should probably send some of them to get graded. I think the PSA 10 is actually worth something, but I opened so many of the ETBs. It's such a fun set to open. But yeah, I'm glad I kept a lot of them sealed because they're doing really, really well. In fact, I think just keeping some of them sealed has literally paid for the Crown Zenith ETBs that I opened. Shout out to my previous video where I was saying that every collector should be an investor because, guys, if you're ripping packs, you're losing money most of the time. I'm not going to act like Crown Zenith has actually somehow beaten the odds and I'm able to make my money back by opening it. No, I definitely lost money. But if you invest on the side as well, you keep some of them sealed, you're going to be fine. Your portfolio is going to be fine. You're not going to feel like you're wasting money in this hobby, which I think is really good. So yeah, I would definitely recommend a Crown Zenith ETB. The booster bundles are around $100 right now, which isn't a bad buy either, but I do like the ETB more. It's a more sought after product. Plus, it just looks really solid. So yeah, would be picking this up if you can. I think Sword and Shield is kind of consolidating right now, as you can see. It's not moving too much in the last month, but curious to see how it goes into the holiday season and further. Next, we have 151 bundles. Now, this set reminds me of Crown Zenith in that Pokemon reprinted it to Kingdom Come. I don't know how many bundles we've gotten over the year. Walmart restock after Walmart restock. Doesn't matter. This thing sustained its price point for a damn near like a full year, a full cycle of just getting reprint after reprint after reprint, and it still kept climbing up. And finally, when Pokemon said, okay, let's move on to Prismatic, bam, this thing shot up into the stratosphere. It's now $100 per booster bundle, and I still think that's undervalued because look at where the ETBs are. The ETBs are like $400 right now. The only reason these booster bundles are still $100 is because there's so many of them. There were so many of them printed. I genuinely think this is probably the closest thing you can get to Evolving Skies in the Scarlet and Violet era. Maybe only right behind Prismatic, but I do generally think that 151 is going to actually pull more weight than Prismatic. I think nostalgia is the #1 factor when it comes to the Pokemon TCG. It's really funny because seeing the difference between people who love the Pokemon video games versus people who love the TCG, people in the TCG love the nostalgia. They love seeing Charizard over and over and over again. In the video games, people are kind of sick and tired of seeing Gen 1 Pokemon over and over again. Personally, 151 isn't really my favorite set. It's just like, as much as I like the original 151 Pokemon, I actually think there's other generations that are better. I think Gen 3 is better. I think Gen 4 is cooler. In fact, I like Black Bolt and White Flare more than 151, but I have to understand that I am the vast minority there. 151, obviously, is going to be super popular to come. People with the most money are going to be the oldest people. That's just naturally how things work. You know, you have longer time to accumulate assets and resources. So nostalgia that preys on older people that really grew up with the original 151 is going to make a lot of sense in terms of investment. So I think at $100, I don't think you can go wrong. In fact, I think I have like 25 bundles. I'm probably going to buy more, try and push that to 30 if I can. I do generally believe in this product for the long run. And yeah, I mean, looking at what the ETB is, I think it's like $400. I still think this is a no-brainer. The pack price is amazing. Still pretty solid. If you can get Blooming Waters too, the pack price there is also pretty decent. But again, those are a little more difficult to store, but still great. And lastly, my #1 pick, just in terms of cost effectiveness, is probably going to be the Costco Surging Sparks 2-pack bundle. This is a really solid product. You can find this locally for like $100. You get an ETB plus a booster bundle, and I think this booster bundle is like $40. The ETB is like $75. And if you can get it for 100, I mean, let's say you sell the booster bundle, you get it for 100. You now are buying the ETB for like $65. That's below market price. That's actually a really solid deal. If you have no Surging Sparks and you don't really want to drop, $300 on a booster box, which I still think is probably the premier investment for Surging Sparks. Totally fair if you don't have the money. I think this is a great alternative. I don't see a world where this is a bad idea at all. Surging Sparks is a very solid set. This is a really good cost basis to get into in this market where it feels like there's just nothing that's kind of below market, or you can't really find any good plays. I think this is a pretty solid one, all things considered, and that's what I would be picking up. Let me know what you guys are going to buy. Is this Mega Evolution era really going to pop off and just continue the hype train for another year? I'm a little more skeptical. I'm kind of curious to see what happens in 2026. I want to see how much Pokemon increases their printing capacity, because it's going to happen eventually. I don't think they can continue, under printing, the newest sets. So we'll see when they eventually catch up, if it actually does anything to the market price of booster boxes, if anything even goes to MSRP anymore. Is that just a made up word? I don't know. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, what you guys are buying. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.